After the Night King left Kevin's apartment, he got a call from Miss Wilson to tell him about a banquet he needed to attend as a representative of Williams Media. She insisted that it would help the company's image if he showed up for it. But Kevin really wanted to practice the techniques that the Night King had spent the past 2 weeks teaching him. "You're not giving me much of a choice," Kevin told her. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Please don't misunderstand me, Mr. Williams. I didn't mean to pressure you," she replied anxiously. "Just stop by at Corwin Tower to pick me up later," Kevin said as he hung up the phone. At the same moment, Lily had just finished her live broadcast and was walking out of her home studio with a broad smile. It had been 2 weeks since Mighty Moose had tipped her tens of thousands of dollars during her show. This had attracted a lot more viewers, and the popularity of her live broadcast skyrocketed. "You must be tired, Lily. Do you want some fruit?" Dorothy asked as she smiled and walked her daughter to the sofa to sit down. Lily had been the only wage earner in the house lately, and it made Dorothy happy to see her daughter doing so well. "I'd like to discuss something with you," Dorothy said. "Now that you're a celebrity, why don't you buy a bigger place? It would be more convenient for your live streams if we had some extra room." Dorothy wasn't worried about upsetting Lily when she said, "And when that piece of trash Kevin gets out of prison, he won't be able to find us." Lily was making at least $100,000 a day on the Williams payroll, plus whatever her fans sent her. She could easily afford a new place. When she thought about Kevin, Lily's eyes started to well up with tears. "Do you have a particular place in mind?" she asked her mother. "I heard that the Salix Leaf Hotel complex that Rachel is managing has just finished some new condos," Dorothy said with a smile. "I saw some ads for them yesterday, and they're really beautiful." Lily had also heard about the condos that were being built next to the Salix Leaf Hotel, and she liked the idea. It was probably the best location in Chicago, and the buildings were gorgeous. Some people even thought they were nicer than the condos in Corwin Tower. But they were still very expensive and cost more than double what you would pay in other parts of the city. "It's nice, but isn't it a little pricey?" Lily asked hesitantly. "Well, let's find out," Dorothy said as she called Rachel. As soon as the call connected, Dorothy got right to the point. "Hi, Rachel. We're wondering if there are any more condos left at your property." "Yes, we still have a few. If you're interested, come down and take a look. I'll show them to you myself. It will give me a chance to stretch my legs," Rachel replied with a smile. "Okay, we'll be down there in a little while." Then Dorothy hung up the phone and let Lily know that it was all set before going to the other room to change. Less than an hour later, they both arrived at the sales office and saw Rachel waiting for them by the door. "You're getting prettier every time I see you, Rachel," Dorothy said with a smile. "Oh, please don't flatter me. Now let me show you our condos," Rachel said as she took Lily by the arm. "Wait a second. How can I be seen with the most desirable single woman in Chicago?" Lily asked with a mischievous grin. "What's Lily talking about?" Rachel said to Dorothy as she reached out and playfully pinched Lily's arm. "She's just teasing you," Dorothy laughed. Rachel was now very famous all across Chicago, and they were constantly hounding her for TV and fashion magazine interviews. A few minutes later, when they got to the condominium area of the property, Lily and Dorothy were amazed. There was a large artificial lake by the entrance to the magnificent building, along with tennis courts and a high-end supermarket. The place was packed with people who were interested in buying one of the condos. Rachel told them that each place had its own private swimming pool, but there was also a health club if you were interested. "Our goal was to make this neighborhood self-sufficient. Everything you need is right here on the property," Rachel said in a slightly promotional tone. Just as she was about to take Lily and Dorothy to see the rest of the facilities, Alan and Susan got out of the car with the help of the driver, but they were dressed in such ordinary clothing that everyone stopped to watch. They looked like they didn't fit in, not just the car, but the entire complex. A moment later, a few women quickly ran out of the building. 2 of them took some bags of groceries out of the trunk, and the other stood beside Kevin's parents. Miss Wilson had arranged for all this while Kevin was recovering from his injuries. She got in touch with Rachel and requested that she reserve the best condo in the place for Alan and Susan, so they could move in after they were discharged from the hospital. I thought we'd see someone with class, but it's just that parents, Dorothy said with a mocking smile as she walked toward them. Mom, what are you doing? You're embarrassing me, Lily cried out as she tried to stop her mother. Rachel didn't understand what was going on, and she watched the scene awkwardly. She was thinking to herself, aren't these Kevin's parents? They're related to Dorothy, so why is she acting like they're bitter enemies? Alan barely looked at Dorothy, and Susan ignored her completely as they walked into the building with the help of the two women. What are you doing? Don't you know how expensive this place is? You'll just get it dirty, Dorothy reprimanded them harshly. What did you say? Alan replied in an unfriendly tone of voice. You know what I'm talking about. Your useless son is still in jail, and you won't be able to live here much longer, Dorothy sneered. Leave me alone. My son is innocent, Alan angrily retorted. Alan and Susan hadn't talked to Kevin about it yet, but they knew their son wouldn't do such a horrible thing. There was something fishy about the whole matter. My daughter was foolish to marry someone as worthless as that trash son of yours, Dorothy complained. Susan saw that her husband was getting angry and said softly, Alan, let's go inside. We can't just get along with someone like this. She didn't understand how someone who looked so elegant can always say such rotten things. I'm coming, Alan replied as he turned around and walked into the building and headed toward their elevator. He was too tired to deal with Dorothy. You should have stayed on your dirty old farm, Dorothy said with a sneer. Do you really let people like them live here? Dorothy asked Rachel with a perplexed look on her face. Then Dorothy added, I want the condo they're staying in. Get someone to chase Kevin's parents out so we can move in. I'm very sorry, Dorothy. They bought their condo 10 days ago. Why don't you take a look at a different one? Rachel tried to explain. This was a very embarrassing situation. They actually live here? How is that even possible? Dorothy asked in disbelief. Lily also looked at Rachel in shock. She didn't know Alan and Susan well, but she more or less knew their financial situation. How much did they pay? We'll offer more, Dorothy offered impatiently. I'm sorry, Dorothy, but I can't do that, Rachel said very apologetically. You're the vice president of this place. What do you mean you can't do that? Dorothy asked indignantly. There's nothing I can do about it. Before the building was complete, I was told to reserve the best unit for Mr. and Mrs. Williams, Rachel said as she smiled awkwardly. Then she offered, there are a lot of other units still available with beautiful views and amenities. Why don't we go look at them? Who told you to do that? Lily suddenly asked. But Lily had already thought of one possibility. It obviously had something to do with Kevin, but she shuddered to think of who might have helped them. Since when did Kevin know someone who was so powerful? Lily, please don't make things so difficult for me, Rachel begged her. She was afraid of revealing Kevin's true identity. Lily lightly nodded her head as she thought about Rachel's difficult position, but she still wondered, could it be Dalton Steele? But Lily was actually interested in living in the best condo in the building. The location was great and it was close to transportation, plus it would only increase in value. It was nearly 6 o'clock and almost all of Chicago's upper crust would soon be arriving at the banquet at the Salix Leaf Hotel. It was a highly anticipated event to kick off the Foreign Film Festival. There was a lot of commotion because Williams Media had announced that their CEO would be there in person, and everyone knew that the CEO, whoever they were, had a close relationship with Mitchell Cook and other prominent Chicagoans. Nobody wanted to miss this event. Plus, they were aware of everything that Williams Media had done to help straighten out the recent economic crisis. They had even gotten the KWTD Corporation to help the city, and they had spent a fortune to protect Chicago's economy. So the reputation of Williams Media had grown exponentially, but what everyone really wanted was to kiss up to the company's CEO. When Britney and Charity got out of the car, the crowd roared. The place was jumping, and paparazzi were swarming Williams Media's latest stars. The crowd was clamoring for autographs and shouting how much they loved them both. While everyone was focused on Britney and Charity, A well-dressed man in sunglasses stepped out of the limo and accompanied the two women as they walked toward the hotel's entrance. At first, a lot of people thought that he was their bodyguard. Then they started to realize that he was probably Williams Media's CEO. Under the watchful eyes of Britney and Charity's fans, Kevin guided them through the throng, stopping now and then to exchange a few words with some of the onlookers. A lot of very prominent people were doing their best to make a good impression on him, pushing through the crowd to offer him projects and invite him to dine with them. Kevin smiled politely and chatted with a few of them as he and his companions continued to make their way to the banquet. Just then, the three of them heard someone call to Britney, "Long time no see, my dear. I miss you so much." He was walking over toward Britney. Kevin frowned slightly when he saw the man. "I didn't expect to meet you here, my sweet. Would you like to have a long talk with me tonight?" The man smiled lewdly. "Sorry, I'm not free this evening," Britney replied coldly. "Are you so busy these days that you don't have time for me? You know advertising is very important in this business," the man said conceitedly. The rude man thought that Kevin was just Britney's bodyguard, so he didn't pay any attention to him. "So you're the one who did it?" Britney said as her smile turned into a scowl. "So what if I did?" Vito Booker said arrogantly. "I told you last time we met that no woman I like can reject me if they want to keep working in the entertainment industry." Then Vito continued with a lascivious look in his eyes. "But you know I can always change my mind if you're willing to change yours." This infuriated Britney. Kevin had finally had enough of this and said, "Someone should do something about this. Chicago has leash laws, you know." He didn't really care what the guy might say to him.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.